Alright, yo, what's up YouTube? This is Deathwish, and I'm with one of the lead developers, Sean Hogan, for Anodyne, a new game that's coming out. It's pretty cool. You should go check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. But in the meantime, how are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty well. Sitting around, been about a week since release.
Alright. I want to know more about the game. I've only played the demo, and the demo looks absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the most unique games I've seen in a while. And definitely is going to hold up with Meat Boy or some of these other games that have been coming out that have been just smashing the market. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your game from your point of view?
Yeah, so what Anodyne is it's this adventure that is set in this dream world of this character. And the idea is they're sort of exploring this one particular dream and trying to figure out, why they're in that one at the moment. And what we did to sort of evoke that sort of dream world feel is to use these like visual and audio aesthetics influenced by like games from like Super Nintendo or the Game Boy Color, and then we use those aesthetics combined very tightly with the gameplay, which is sort of like Link's Awakening and a lot more exploration to see what can we, express through the combination of these like aesthetics and gameplay mechanics.
I've also noticed the hero of the game really doesn't use a traditional weapon. What were you thinking when you actually decided to do that? And is there anything more to that than I was able to identify in the demo?
Yeah, well, the game dev never really like spells it out, but the idea is that we certainly want to sort of emphasize that the character himself isn't really like some sort of like great hero or whatever on some quest to like save the world. Initially the game talks about that, and I think the broom is a good way of sort of representing that even if you're going through this place and you're defeating everyone, at the same time the character isn't some like epic hero. And that's one of the reasons, and there's kind of some other ones too, but I think that sticks out as the main one, as why we kind of have the broom as a weapon.
Well, it's definitely not a traditional weapon for any video game, but I will give it that is definitely something that will stick out, especially if this game goes big. Another thing is there any game you were really trying to mimic, or is there any game that truly influenced you when you decided that, hey, this is going to be a game I want to work on? And what were you planning on doing when you actually sat down and actually began?
Yeah, so the two games that were like huge influences were Nikki and Link's Awakening. I can talk about Link's Awakening first, and there of course there's the gameplay that's similar to Anodyne, the dungeons and the overworld, and also on a different part of how that influenced it is that the world of Link's Awakening is very, if you think about it, it's sort of unsettling. You're kind of in this, you're basically in a dream after Link like passes out at sea, and the whole time you're trying to get to the that like egg on the mountain and basically wake up and kill everyone in the dream world essentially, even though they're not real. So that's kind of grim, and the game sort of appears happy at times, but it can feel really dark if you let it. And then how that kind of connects to like Nikki is that Nikki is this exploration game set in this like girl's mind, and it's very surreal and abstract. I think that how that influenced Anodyne a lot is this idea of having like a very strong aesthetic to your world design that is thinking a lot about picking certain areas to represent certain things and how they relate to each other. And those two games sort of combined to give a lot of the motivation of deciding to take under a project like Anodyne.
And when you when you officially sat down and started doing this game, did you already have like a demo of it? Did you make one game and thought, I'm going to add on to this? What made you stick with this game? What made you start it, and what made you follow all the way through?
Yeah, so the thing I started with was actually just a little like programming mock-up of walking between rooms, Link's Awakening style. You hit an edge and it scrolls over to the next room, and that was kind of fun. And I was like, okay, maybe I can make something like exploration-y out of this. And I started adding on little dungeon mechanics. And a few months later I finally got around to finishing this sort of a demo, and then from there I met John and we kind of decided, okay, let's make this into a big game and see how many people we can get to play it.
Now, I definitely noticed that you don't have a big crew that worked on this. So I know there's you, and you've got one other guy, John, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, was it just you two, or do you guys have a bigger crew, and what was your guys' jobs, and what did you guys each contribute?
It is just us two working on Anodyne for the past, 7-8 months. So our main roles, more technical wise, is I was the programmer for Anodyne, and I also wrote the music. John did all of the artwork. He did all the tile sets and all the sprites, and there are a lot of them. And he's done a great job, I think. And he also does pretty much all of the writing for the game, so the dialogue. And in terms of where our roles overlap, so like the initial idea of the game's themes and the world design, mostly work together on how to express that, through a story. And then game design wise, so initial game design, I was doing the prototype and the demo first, so there's that. And then I did most of the dungeon design for the game, some of the non-dungeon design, and then John helped to do some of the non-dungeon design as well. And there's a lot of collaboration on the game design, what works and what doesn't, and so it was very good to have a partner to work on this with.
Okay, so visually this game looks a lot like Zelda, Link from the Past, and Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. And playing through it, I realized that this game could easily be like another version of Zelda or a remake of Zelda, assuming you put Link in the hero spot. Another thing, what programs were you using, and how did you learn to use these programs when you started?
So for the programming, I use this IDE called the Flash Develop, and that helps you program games in ActionScript 3. So that's how I did all the programming. I used this library called Flixel to make the game, and it's like this open source free library for programming games. For the music, I bought this digital audio workstation called Reaper, and I've kind of been learning how to use that over the past, year and a half. So this was also a really good opportunity for me to sit down and actually write a full length, 70-minute soundtrack for a game. And so those were the tools that I used. Yeah.
So what platforms is this game out on right now, and when can we expect to see this on Steam? Because I know it's currently on Greenlight.
Yeah, so right now you can get it on basically all computer platforms. Linux is kind of weird because some people can't play the Air version, but they can still play the Flash Player version. But for Windows and Mac, it pretty much works universally. Yeah, so people can buy it from our website, or Fastspring store, or they can get it on Desura. We're supposed to be going up on Gamersgate soon. I don't know when, but that stuff's all ready. And then I've been in contact with some other sites like GOG and Just Adventure. I don't know if they'll get back to me or when we'll go live on those. But as for Steam, I have no idea. It depends if we're greenlit. And then after that, it would probably be pretty immediate, I think, because there's not much left there's nothing really to do other than some Steam API stuff. So I don't know how long it takes to get greenlit. I guess it depends on how, popular Anodyne gets over the next few weeks. And then outside of computer platforms, I am thinking about, I've made an Android version and it works, and you can play it. I'm probably gonna do iOS too as well, because we use this thing called Adobe Air with packaging the game that makes it easy to be cross-platform. So when I get around to it, I'll probably release on those markets, but I don't know when that would be.
So you're not planning on taking it to Xbox or anything past PC then?
Probably not. Just because Xbox has really, well, even for XBL indie games, we'd have to port the code base, and I don't think the game wouldn't sell well enough to justify the time it would take me to port it. And yeah.
Well, I'm sure if it goes big on Steam or something, I'm sure you'd probably think about something like that, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it goes that big, then
if
maybe
it gets Terraria big, or heaven forbids Minecraft big, but of course if that gets that big, we wouldn't, right?
Yeah, then you just hire someone else to go through my code base and do it.
Another thing is, if you guys want to help this guy get this this game on Steam, I'll give you a link in the annotation, or an annotation and a link in the description below to go and vote or upvote that for Steam. That'd be much appreciated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Another thing is, do you plan on releasing DLC updates or any future games, or maybe an Anodyne 2?
I don't have any DLC planned. I don't have a sequel planned. I think Anodyne stands pretty well on its own. But in terms of updates, I mean, there will be bug fix patches. There already have been 2 over the last week. One thing I want to add is controller support. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I think it is possible. In terms of features, one thing I wanted to add was like a boss rush. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. I mean, it's not really that necessary for the game, but I think it would be kind of a nice thing to have. And then also very basic mod support, because Anodyne uses this, like, you know, publicly available level editor. So I assume I would just edit. I don't know how I would do it, but it might be interesting to see what kind of dungeons people make. But at the same time, you know, neither of those things are like super necessary for the game. They're just things that might be nice.
Alright, so if you do end up getting a level developer or something, would there be something, if assuming this goes through to Steam, that people would be able to make their own versions of games, maps, or challenges that they'd be able to get on a Steam workshop if it goes that far?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm not sure how it all works or anything, but at the very basic level, you know, you give people the tile sets, and then they can make like a dungeon and let people play through it. Yeah, that would be a little bit of extra work to do, but you know, it's always interesting.
Well, if the money starts rolling in, why quit, right?
Yeah, if I'm still interested with the game by that point, then yeah, I mean, it's something I might like to do.
I believe that's all the questions I have. If you guys want to ask any questions, please leave a comment below, and I'm sure he can come by and answer them. And if not, I can definitely look through them and answer them to the best of my abilities. You guys can also help get this game greenlighted so it can appear on Steam. I'll put that information down in the description below, but definitely go and upvote that so the game gets on Steam. You can also go and check out his YouTube channel at Seagaia. That's SEAGAIA. Everything we talked about today will be in the description below with anything about the game, so just go check that if you have any questions as well. And with that said, is there anything else you want to add?
Thank you for listening, guys. Thanks for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And if you do play Anodyne, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. So definitely get in contact.
I'll be giving away 2 copies of Anodyne in this video. So if you've gotten this far in the video, just post in the comments "upvoted," and that'll show me that you went and upvoted the game on Steam. And I'll pick through those comments and give a couple of those games away. If you do end up getting Anodyne, post a video response of you playing the game or a review. Let us know what you think. Well, it's been nice interviewing you, Sean. I hope your game goes well, and I hope it gets on Steam.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a great day. Make sure everybody, I hope you subscribe, comment, rate, and I'll see you next time.